My name is Stephanie. I'm growing in New York, Zone 6, and welcome to my channel. So I am very excited for the 2025 growing season, and I'm looking just to kind of share with you all some of the things that I'm excited about. So let's get into it. So I'm very excited for 2025 because I feel like I'm going to be able to really achieve my goals when it comes to gardening. I had a lot of different changes in my life that has allowed me now to be home full time. And with being home full time, I have the opportunity to really work on my craft and my hobby, which is gardening. So I want to kind of go through some of the plans I have for 2025. So plan number one, my first thing that I want to do is to work on my preservation skills. So I've been interested in canning. I've tried my hand in things like fermentation, um, pickling. I feel okay with those things. Not perfect yet, but I feel okay with those things. The skill that I really want to hone in on and really at least just try is canning. I've never really canned anything. Well, that's a lie. I canned one thing. I canned jelly or jam before. So that's the one thing I've actually successfully water bath canned. But that's it. So that number has to get up there. I need to do better with that. I need to try more things. I'm going to put out another video because I don't know if anybody's experienced like fear from like just eating what you make. Like, I don't know if it's just like an American thing or like first generation home steady type people thing, but I am very scared, or used to be very scared, to like eat food out of my garden. Just even growing my own food was a little bit like scary for me. Like I had some fear there. But then of course I got over that and I was able to eat the produce that I've actually grew out of my garden. And now the next thing of overcoming for me would be like overcoming my fear of my own canned food. So I don't know what that's about. I'm gonna do in a whole nother video just kind of talking that through, because I hope I'm not the only one that kind of went through that. But anyway, that's a different video. But the focus of this video is looking at what I'm looking to do, the goals. So my goal is to perfect that, or just become, not really perfect it, but become more comfortable with it. So I want to do canning and pressure canning. So I have a pressure canner. It's actually still in its box. I haven't used it yet, so I do plan on trying to, practice that during the summer, the spring, as produce comes in. So that's going to be task and goal number one for me. So goal number two for me is to actually increase the produce. So I'm able to garden. I've successfully gardened since 2020. On and off, I haven't. It hasn't been honestly my 100% focus with kids and a full-time job. But this year, since I am home full-time, I do want to increase the produce that's coming out of the garden. So I'm really focusing on storage crops. So I'm mainly going to be dedicating most of my space to the easier storage crops. So butternut squash, for an example, potatoes. Go through another video of like things that I've already purchased and what I have that I'm looking to start this year. But the storage crops are definitely going to be a high priority for me. I don't really have a basement. I don't have a root cellar. So the crops that can just, kind of hang out in the house are going to work really well for me. And the reason why I'm choosing those type of storage crops, I actually grew a butternut squash that maybe I'll go and grab that squash so you can still see it. I grew it last summer and it's holding on to this day. So let me actually go get that. Okay. So this baby butternut, it's a small one. I grew from my garden. It's a small one, it's a little baby one, but it's still good. And it's February. So I'm excited to grow this again for 2025. At least I know that that's something that will store easily in my home. Another thing that I'm also growing in regards to storage is like onions. Uh, I had grew a decent amount of onions, but I did not grow enough. We honestly got through the onions by September, so it definitely did not last a long time, just because I didn't grow enough. So that's why I definitely want to increase my produce and focus on storage crops. So the next thing I'm going to focus on, or my next goal for 2025, is to set up a tea garden. So I've been, watching different videos and getting into medicinal herbs. And I want to start with herbs that can be used for tea. So different things in the mint family. I also want to look at stinging nettle. That's something else I'll probably throw in my tea garden. I think you can put stinging nettle. Nettle tea is a thing, I think. I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to put that in my tea garden as well. So that's going to be some right in the front of my house, so where people can, see it like driving by. So I do want to make sure that I'm designing it in a way that's appealing. Not that my garden is not beautiful. So I'm gonna probably do a separate video kind of just going through the setup, the purchasing of the plants. I did start stinging nettle from seed. It looks like it's germinating. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if it needs like cold stratification. Some of the plants I start, I don't like anise hyssop. There's another plant that I'm starting and that hasn't germinated. I'm not the best at like reading the instructions. I'm not like an instruction girl. I kind of like to just jump in and just try to figure it out as I go and learn from my mistakes. So I don't know if that needs cold stratification. If you know, just link it or comment me down below. But anyway, so I will do a separate video on that, and we can kind of go through that together. So that's goal. That's my other goal for 2025. The next goal is to really use my perennials. So I have already perennials set up in my garden space in my yard. So I have asparagus. I have an asparagus patch. It's a decent sized patch. I started that patch in 2022, so it's 3 years old. So it's perfect age now to really start harvesting the asparagus. The past couple of years I kind of harvested a few, but I didn't take too many. I was just nervous to mess it up. I started my asparagus from seed, so it wasn't like the root ball that you can buy, which I think you can harvest from those within like the year or two. But when you start from seed, you got to give it like 3 years to really get established in your ground and in your area. So I did that. It's established. So this year is the year that I can really harvest my asparagus. So I'm excited to really use my perennials. I have some trees too, some fruit trees. So I have an apple tree, 2 apple trees. I have a Fiji apple and a Red Delicious. Now my Fiji apple tree is a problem child. That tree, for some reason, it deals with rust badly. I don't know really how to prevent it. I buy the copper spray. It has such a bad rust problem. So if anybody's watching has a Fiji apple tree, lives in like the New York area, zone 6, I would love it if you could share like how you're successful with that, because I'm on the verge of ripping the tree out. This is its last season. So say a prayer for the Fuji apple tree that it does well this year, because if it doesn't, it is going to leave my property. But yeah, so that tree doesn't really produce anything. I also have a Red Delicious, which is doing great. That does not get any disease really. It produces its flowers. I've had it so far for 2 years. The Fiji apple I had for 3 years. When I got the Fiji apple tree, I didn't realize you needed like a second pollinator. So the next year I got the Red Delicious. But it hasn't been able to be pollinated because the Fiji apple tree, it puts on some flowers, but they don't last long. They get the rust and they fall off. So the Red Delicious tree doesn't get pollinated. So That's a struggle. So I am hoping for this year that it fares better. I'll try to maybe spray the copper spray immediately when the leaves are, when it's starting to foliate. If that's the proper term. When it starts to produce its leaves, I'll spray the copper spray to help it to do better with disease resistance. I don't know. And all I have is a peach tree, and that tree is the best. I'll try to see if I can remember the name or the variety of the peach tree, but that peach tree produces crazy. The only reason why we really haven't been able to really use the peaches off of that tree is because of the critters. So I am looking to get some mesh bags this year so we can actually utilize the peaches that are on the tree. But that's a great producer. I actually had to prune it back this year. I had some branches that were crossing, so I did prune it. So I'm excited for that tree. And then we did recently buy last year 3 more trees. So we got a plum tree, which is I think a Stanley plum. It's a self-pollinating variety that produced very little because again, we didn't get the bare root. We got a more established tree, but we just planted it last year, so the expectation was low for if it was even going to produce. And then we got 2 pear trees, which I'll put their names somewhere here because I don't remember their names right now. And they both produced very well. The pear trees gave us a decent amount of fruit. I had enough that I could share with some of my family members, so that was great. And then the last perennial I have is elderberry. So I brought elderberry. These poor elderberries, they keep on getting cut down. So I don't have them where my fruit trees are, and they're not by my garden. They're in the area where my tea garden will be, but they keep on getting mowed down. So it's either if it's not my husband or if my dad sometimes comes by and helps us with the landscaping, but those poor elderberries just get cut down or weed whacked. So I'm considering this summer taking a cutting of it and replanting it somewhere else because it's not in a good spot. So I need to put it in a different location so it doesn't continually get mowed and weed whacked down. But that's then another perennial I have. I don't have any goals with using the elderberry yet. I feel like I need to do more research before I can even consider doing that. My other goal for 2025 is to build a small chicken garden. So I have chickens and they have a nice little patchy area that I think would be perfect to put just some greens that they could eat, whether I let them out and they're allowed to walk out in my back area. I would like to create a space for them just so they can have some things that they can eat. They're close to their coop so they can, grab it from their coop. Or when I let them out of their chicken run, they can come in, they can, they'll be able to access it that way. So that's another idea I have. I think it'd be nice for them. I am going to expand the number of chickens I have. I did lose some chickens. I'll do another video on just like my experience with chickens and the good, the bad, and the ugly. But my last goal for 2025 is homemaking. So I do want to improve my skills in just being a homemaker. This is something that's new to me. All of this is new to me. I didn't grow up in a family where I had a stay-at-home mom or I didn't have a garden. Everything was, brought from a grocery store. So that's, all new to me. So just trying to, do better with homemaking, making things from scratch, being more conscious of how my kids are eating. So that's going to be a skill set that I'm going to have to develop myself. So that's something I want to do this year, learning to make my own bread, make my own pasta and those things like that. So that's my last goal for 2025. Thank you for watching. If you want to share with me your goals for 2025, I would love to hear them. If you have any ideas and suggestions for me on anything that I mentioned, leave that down below. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Take care.